My presentation today is divided into 4 segments. The first part I'll cover in about 15 minutes. What is the concept of how to use data analytics for assurance and compliance and how to perform powerful analytics using ECAT. The next 15 minutes, I'm going to give you an overview of ECAT as what are the features of ECAT, how you can use ECAT most effectively. And then the last 30 minutes, we'll have a demo of more than 15 functions of ECAT so that you get a practical perspective of called as ECAT. Now, if you look at the screen here, we've got 2 versions of ECAT. One is called as ECAT Pro, which is meant for professionals, and other is ECAT Enterprise, which is a larger version, which is for enterprises. Both the cases, you find you can perform data analytics in a few clicks. The software ECAT has been developed by Windsor Infotech Limited, who specialize in providing solutions for data analytics and business intelligence. And my name is C. Abdul Rafiq. I'm the Managing Director of Windsor Infotech Limited. Let's get started. There are 4 broad areas I would like to cover in this quick presentation. One is the assurance services. We'll look at the what, why, how, and when assurance services are performed or compliance services are performed, and how data analytics could be useful. Second, how to use data analytics to make our assurance effective. Third, we'll look at the role of data analytics and how you can perform powerful analytics using ECAT. And as I said, we will have a demo of data analytics using ECAT. That is the agenda of today's webinar. Now let's go first to assurance services and ask the 6 questions. Who requires assurance? What is assurance all about? When is assurance required? Where do you require assurance? How to perform assurance? And why do we need assurance at all? First, let's start with the fundamental question. What is an auditor? An auditor is a professional who helps determine if the organizations and the businesses follow the rules, operate with integrity, and accurately present information. Depending on the scope and objective of the audit, the auditor will set the primary criteria for the purpose of evaluation, perform the audit using his tools and techniques, collect and evaluate the evidence, and report to the management or the stakeholders as required. What are the criteria which is used in any assurance engagement? Now, in any audit engagement, to be able to arrive at meaningful conclusions, we need to know what is the suitable criteria to be evaluated. For example, if you're doing a tax audit, there are a set of tax audit criteria which are to be evaluated as per the needs of the income tax department. Similarly, if you're doing an internal audit, the management gives you a set of criteria or the business process rules which they want to verify compliance with. Similarly, if you look at, let's say, compliance services, depending on the type of the compliance, you will look at what are the compliances which are to be done by the management and whether the management has actually complied with these rules. And if they're not complied, what are the implications of this? So in any assurance or compliance assignment, it's very important to set the right criteria and evaluate the data against this criteria. Let's look at the generally accepted criteria. For example, in the case of a statutory audit, the generally accepted criteria could be those established by the rules and regulations, the acts, the management policy guidelines and standards, or it could also be dictated by the risk management, the control framework, performance indicators, etc. So it's important to collect and use the criteria as relevant for the assignment. How is an assurance assignment done? And let's look at what is the role of analytics in this. You prepare an audit plan management request. Based on the request of the management, you will prepare the audit plan, which clearly outlines how the audit is going to be performed. You will set the audit objective. And based on the audit objective, you will prepare a list of the criteria. And based on the set of the criteria and the audit objective, you will prepare the audit program, the audit tests, and the detailed audit procedures. And this audit program or tests will collect and evaluate the evidence so that you can arrive at conclusions. In a digital environment, when the data is fully digitized, it's important to understand the technology environment, to understand in what format data is available, and collect this data, apply the criteria, and evaluate whether the criteria is met, what are the conformances, and what are the non-conformances, and what are the implication of these non-conformances, and report to the stakeholders as per the audit objective. Why is assurance performed? Primarily, it is meant as a report to the stakeholders. So you will look at compliance with the relevant laws, regulations, policies, and standards, or you could also perform relevant analysis and explanation of the exposure to risk to look at how the risk has been effectively mitigated by the management. You may also provide a conclusion which conveys a clear understanding of what is being assessed, the criteria which was used, the level of assurance provided, and any other reservations you have due to the audit and due to the audit findings. Based on this, management will decide and prepare an action plan to mitigate the risks. Now let's come to the second aspect, which is how to make the assurance more effective. Now we know we're living in a digital world where the data is invisible, the data is intangible. Now, how does the digital transformation impact our traditional knowledge and skills? Now, when you want to collect and evaluate the evidence, we found this evidence, which is in the form of data, is actually hidden inside the computers, inside the system. So we should know how to access and analyze this invisible or intangible data using relevant tools and techniques or the software so that we can evaluate. They say the fundamental design pattern of technology is to allow humans to do things that were previously impossible. If you look at the way technology has impacted us, it has taken enterprises and the whole world to a completely new, different world. We operate in a different orbit altogether. We could never envisage the type of transactions we're doing now in a digital world could have been done manually. You have transactions which originate digitally, which get processed digitally, which get stored digitally, and are completed digitally in all forms. And this presents a huge challenge for chartered accountants and auditors when they have to provide assurance services. One, there is a huge volume of transactions, and this data could be available online in real time. There's a minimal or no audit trail of transactions or paper trail. It's very, very minimal. The speed of the transactions is very high. For example, if you look at the type of transaction which happens in an online banking or in an online e-commerce store, you find they're really very, very high. And you need to ensure the integrity of data at the different stage of processing, right at the time the data is captured, when the data is processed, and the data is stored and made available to the use stakeholders as required. The controls which were available externally in a manual environment, you find that they get embedded inside technology. So it becomes very important that the controls which are supposed to be evaluated still need to be evaluated, but these have to be evaluated by accessing and analyzing the digital data. And this is where the need for IT skills becomes very critical and imperative. And this IT knowledge has to be continually updated as the technology also keeps on getting updated. But the good news is that there is a better way to provide assurance, ensure compliance, and provide value addition. And if we can learn how to harness the power of technology, we could be more productive, more effective, and be more timely in performing our work. Now let's come to the next aspect, which is what is the role of data analytics in assurance or compliance services. We know very well with the manual approach, audit tasks are tedious and time consuming. And in fact, in a digital environment, it becomes impossible to follow the manual audit approach. What is the format in which the data is available for audit in a digital environment? The simple answer is the data is available digitally. You can't ask the client to provide this data in a paper format. You have to learn how to access this data digitally and analyze the data. This data is available in a digital format. So this is where we need to know how to use data analytics in an increasingly digitalized world. We know that data is everywhere. Now it's important that we know how to use analytics also everywhere as required. What are the type of questions a data analytics can answer? Now this could be broadly divided into three categories. Hindsight, which means we look at the past, look at what has happened and how many, how often, where did it happen. We can get insights into what happened in the past. We can also get insights into the present in terms of analyzing where is the problem, what are the action required, and how is this happening. We can also do predictive analytics, which means we can, using the past data, we can foresee the future and look at what will be the trend based on the past sales, what will be the trend of the sales in the future. For example, if the sales of Amazon for last Deepavali was so much, now considering the type of increase in the population, the increase in the number of clients, what will be the trend of the sales? And we can also look at what will happen next, depending on, let's say, impact of various factors. So if you look at the fundamental, the fundamental point or the outline pertaining to data analytics is all about inferring insight from information. Now let's come to the demo of data analytics. I said I'll cover this concept in 15 minutes. I finished in 12 minutes. I think I'm doing well with the time. Now let's focus more on how can we look at the demo of data analytics, how we can practically use data analytics. As I said, there are four quadrants. One, you need to understand the business process, the regulatory requirements, the organizational structure, because this is where the segregation of duties, the authorization policies could be embedded. And for all this, you find that we need to understand underlying technology. This is where CATS or data analytics could be used. When you know how to use data analytics, this is what could happen. You can carve what you want depending on your specific requirements. If you look at the recent study by the IFAC, they said data is one of the top skills of the future professional accountant. Now, to summarize all the discussion we had, what is data analytics all about? It's all about applying thought to technology. We should be able to apply our knowledge and skills to technology so that we can harness the power of technology and provide value to our client. Now, some action points. We need to be clear about the purpose and not just the regulations when you audit. Now, users require information for decision making. We need to see how we can be more proactive and provide the information which could be useful for decision making. Information required is intelligent, interactive, and real time in the digital world. So we should think digital and add value. And this is where we need to have and develop what is called as a digital competency. And the bottom line is we should be creative problem solvers if we want to be more productive using information technology. This is broadly what I want to cover in this concept of data analytics. Now let's quickly go over and look at what is data analytics all about and how to practically use it. Now I'm going to open an Excel file. Now, if you see, I got an Excel file which gives a list of all the functions which are there in the data analytics software. Now, if you look at this, now we have ECAT Enterprise and we have got ECAT Pro. Now, these are two separate software. When you use ECAT Enterprise, you don't need to use ECAT Pro, but for the purpose of demo, I have kept both these versions. All the functions of ECAT Pro are available in ECAT Enterprise. We can say ECAT Enterprise is a superset of the ECAT series of software. Now, ECAT is an add-in software to Excel. Now, let's visit a website to get an idea about what ECAT is all about. You can get most of the information about what is ECAT if you visit a website, vencat.com. Now, let's go to the products and solutions and go to ECAT Enterprise. Now, if you see, ECAT is meant primarily for data analytics in a few clicks. Why do you need to use ECAT? As I said, it's an add-in software to MS Excel software, easy to use and simple to learn. It has the look and feel of MS Excel, but the power of data analytics because there is a backend database available. You can perform powerful data analytics with more than 300 functions, and this can be done in a very, very simple way. So it means you can perform complex analysis in a few clicks with auto documentation. This gives you the key concepts. Now, if you look at the broad analysis of what are the type of functions which are available, these are the panels which are available in ECAT Enterprise and ECAT Pro. You have the Curate panel, which is primarily used as Excel enhancers or time savers. You have the Profile panel, where you can use it for data analytics or FI. You have Analysis or Sampling, which you can be used for data analytics or FI, which is fraud investigation. Investigate or Relate or Templates, which can be used for business intelligence, MIS or FI. You also have documentation. You have functions or panel for utilities and tools. So broadly, if you see, as of date, there are 394 functions in ECAT Enterprise, and there are 137 functions in ECAT Pro. Now, if you categorize these functions based on the utility, if you look at the Excel enhancers or time savers, you have 161 functions. Data analytics FI, we have about 116 functions. Business intelligence at MIS, we got about 98 functions, and documentation, we have about 19 functions. So you see, the primary focus of ECAT software is to allow you to perform data analytics. It is also an Excel enhancer or time saver, which means if you are using Excel, you can do much more than Excel by using ECAT, because many of the functions which you perform to ECAT is much more easier compared to Excel. For example, let's say you're doing a VLOOKUP, or you're doing a pivot table, or you're doing a filter or extract. I'll show you these functions later on in the demo. So you'll find that it'll be much more easier and simpler to perform using ECAT. You also have a brief overview of the functions. You also have videos which you can watch and get an idea about what the software is all about. For example, there is a training series on 51 key functions of ECAT, which will cover right from the concepts of what is data analytics all about, and then it gives you an overview of ECAT as a data analytics software. It gives you a walkthrough of and demo of 12 functions of ECAT, and these are covered in 12, 12, and 15 functions. So totally you have 51 functions. You can learn the most important functions of data analytics very quickly using this video series. We also have various types of sampling. For example, there are 34 types of sampling available in ECAT, and this video will give you a practical demo of 15 key functions of sampling. You can watch these videos at your convenience. We also have presentations by users, which means some of the famous faculties use data analytics ECAT as a tool, and they have provided presentations, and these are available here. Now, if I take you further, let me quickly give you an overview. So this gives you an overview of what is ECAT all about. Then you have what is ECAT Enterprise, why use ECAT Enterprise, how to use ECAT Enterprise. It tells you the steps you can follow for using ECAT software. These are the 7 steps. Okay, what are the criteria which you can set, and how you can use ECAT for performing data analytics. And the most important aspect is you can get an idea about all the functions which are available in ECAT in this particular panel, which gives you a list of all the functions. These functions are given for all the functions, or you can also go as per the Curate panel or as per the Profile panel. So for each of the panel, you'll be able to get an idea about what are the type of functions which are available. For example, you have the Profile, you have Analyze, Investigate. So depending on the type of analytics you want to perform, you can use relevant functions. So with this, I'm closing the presentation pertaining to the concepts. Now let me come to the software. Henceforth, I'm going to focus on the software. Now, if you see here, ECAT Enterprise, this is what I said, is an add-in to MS Excel. When you click on this, when you install, this tab will be added. And as long as the license is there, this tab will be available. And you can see what is the license which is available for you. For example, you would like to know what is the periodicity of license. You can click on About Us. You'll be able to get an idea. about this. In this case, the license available for 77 more days. It tells you what is the type of license. It also tells you the serial key of this license. You also have help, which is context sensitive. You can go and search the help. You also have release notes. For example, this is a special release on the occasion of the 20th anniversary for our company, Windsor Software. Now, if you see 13th September, all the bugs have been released. 1st September, you see the enhancements. We also talk about what are the new functions which have been added. Okay, the release notes will give you a quick summary of all the new developments in the software right from the beginning of the release of the software. Okay, now if you see here, you also have the sample data, which I'm going to show you. You also have guidelines on how to use ECAT software. When you click on this, you'll be able to get the guidelines on how to use ECAT software. Okay, so to the extent, maximum extent possible, we have provided the information so that it becomes very easy for you to use the software. Now, let me give a quick synopsis of the software and then we'll move forward. Now, if you look at this panel, this is a function which I showed you. In Excel, we have the complete list of the functions. This is another interesting part which I forgot to show you. Let us show this now. Incidentally, we have something called a right-click function. When I click on right-click, if you see ECAT, you can also get these ideas about what are the functions as per each category. Okay, which means even if you don't know which function is available in which menu, directly you can navigate through this particular right-click menus and you can perform that particular function. You also have something called a search, where you can go and search and run, where you can, if you see here, ECAT search and run is available. Okay, where you can just give the name of the function. For example, let's say I want to perform classify. I'm not sure where it is. When I say classify, I'll be able to get this particular function, classify. And not only that, I can just click on this and run the function. It's like go to the particular function. So the ECAT has more than 390 functions. You may not have to remember where each and every function is, but you know what is the purpose or what is the name of the function. You can directly go and perform the function. Okay, let's get started. Now, if you look at curate, this is the curate panel we talked about. If you want to look at the panel, so you have this analyze, curate, document, investigate, profile like this. Similarly, you got menu wise, you have got these functions. If you see here, curate, you have got these menus, remove. In remove, you have got a set of functions. Similarly, you got delete, you have got a set of functions. In transform, you got a set of functions. There are more than 70 functions available in the curate panel itself. Curate is primarily used for curating and making the data ready for analytics. Now, profile is where you get an overall perspective of the data. Analyze, where you perform analysis of the data to get understanding, to deeper into data. Investigate is where you investigate specific aspects of the data to understand the nuances of the exceptions or non-conformances, or to identify the exceptions and irregularities. Documentation is where you actually maintain the documentation. Not only you, the software itself maintains the documentation. For example, let's say we have something called the index file. I'll show you this functions a little later. You also have sample data, which is available, which you can use for the purpose of performing the analysis. Okay, then you have utilities and tools. This gives you a quick synopsis of what are the type of functions which are available in ECAT. Now, let's get started. Now, ECAT, as I said, I'm going to use ECAT Enterprise only. If you look at ECAT Pro, the type of functions would be different because here we have 394 functions, whereas in ECAT Pro, we got 137 functions. These functions are organized in a different way to make it much more user-friendly, and it's much more graphical interface as far as the user functions are concerned, because there are lesser number of functions. Now, let's come back to ECAT Enterprise and start performing the functions, some of the functions, so that we get an idea about what we can do with ECAT. For this, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to use two things. I have some sample data which I'd like to use. And then I'll also use the test data which is available in ECAT itself. Now here, this is a sample file of loan balance as on 31/3/2019. Now, if you see here, I got the account number, I got the facility, customer name, limit, the outstanding amount, the new IRR, old IRR, heading, and the arrange. Now, this arrange, I'll explain to you a little later what we've done in this. Now, if you look at this particular function, what is important to understand is, once you get this particular data, as I said, you need to understand what are the business process rules for this particular data. For example, let's say I got this account number, and this account number is supposed to be unique. Okay, so if it is unique, which means that for each of the parties, the account number will be unique. Now, in this case, if you see Mr. Lakshmi Charan Maharana, the account number is given here. I would like to know how many number of account loans have been given to this particular person. Okay, now if you see here, you'll use one more function where you find the name has been entered differently, but the account number is same, or you can call it the customer ID is the same. Okay, now let's see. I would like to know what are the number of loans which have been given as per each of the customer. Second, I'd like to analyze what are the type of facilities which are given for each of the customers. And let's say I also want to know what is the amount of loans which have been granted. I would like to group them together and get an idea about what is the type of limits which have been sanctioned during the year. Okay, let's say I also want to group these loans as per the heading to get an idea about what are the different types of loans which have been given. I would like to know, get analysis or profiling of the different types of loans. And I would like to extract, let's say, I want to extract only the gold loans. I got this gold loans. I got this list of gold loans. There are 280 loans. Now for this, I require a detailed verification. So what I can do here is I would like to extract this data. I just go to eCat Enterprise. This where I said is the Excel time saver. Extract visible cells. Now you'll see what will happen is this particular data of gold loans will be extracted and presented in a separate sheet. Let's see what's happened. Okay, there's some issue. Let's just come back here and check this again. We do this correctly. I picked up the heading. I picked up only the gold loans. Okay. Okay, I have to be careful with the mouse. Yeah, I say extract visible cells. Now, what should ideally have happened is you should have copied this particular data and created a new worksheet with this type of result. Okay, there is some issue in this. Okay, let's come back here. Okay, now let's say I want to perform the analysis which I told you. Let's say I want to do this stratify. Let's start with stratify. And I want to stratify based on what is called as a key field. Okay, I want to stratify key field. I want to give this should be based on the amount. It has to be stratified, has to be based on the numeric data. Let's say I want to stratify based on the outstanding, and I want total of the outstanding. Okay, now it gives the breakup based on the difference between the two loans. Now I can just say go and fill. Okay, I can also do the grouping as per the name of the party. Let's say I say group as per the customer name. Okay, and I say okay. Let's say we'll not do the grouping. Instead of grouping, I'm going to use the index. So here I say available index. I'm going to index based on the customer name, and let's see what happens. Now this is going to stratify the data. Now you see, we already got the data. It has stratified the data for all the amounts based on the limits which are available. Upper bound, which means this is beyond the limit which are prescribed. It stratifies between 0 to 1,95,568. 747 loans have been given. Between 1,95,569 to 3,91,137, 182 lines will be given. I also know that see here 9,77,845. There are only one loan which is given. I would like to have a look at this loan. I can just double click, and this will show me the details of the particular loan. Now let's say in this case, I go back and say I want to know for a particular customer. This is what is called a slicing. I say I want to know the name loan stratify. We're going to Mohan Reddy. I know the only one loan has been given. So I can go and slice and dice and pick up the data pertaining to each of the customers. Okay, now let's say instead of this, we'll do it as per the facility, because that looks more meaningful. I go to the data, I say stratify. I want to do what is called as a key field stratify. I'm picking up the outstanding, total amount of the outstanding. Okay, I'm keeping the fillers. I can also go and give my intervals what I want. I say fill, and I say okay. Now here index, I choose the account number. So based on the account number, I can go and select, I can stratify. This is not we wanted. We wanted to stratify based on the limit. Let me come back again, perform this function, stratify, key field. So here I'm selecting the outstanding and I want to total the outstanding. Okay, now here this is very important. I want to do this based on the facility. I want to index based on the facility and I say fill. I say okay. Now if you see, this has stratified the data. The beauty of this particular key fields stratify is I can go and select, let's say I want to do the loan based for ATL primary. I'll be able to get this for the ATL primary. Similarly, let's say I go and select the express credit. I'll be able to get for this express credit. So for any type of loan which I want, I can do dynamic analysis. For example, let's say I pick up a gold loan. See for the gold loans, what is the category of gold loans which have been given? What is the amount? So I know that the gold loan has been maximum amount has been given is 3,91,137. This is how I can do a dynamic analysis using stratify key field. Now let's say I want to group this data as per the name. Okay, as per the facility, I want to group this data. I can go to data. I can say classify. Classify based on, let's say, the facility. And I want total of the limit and the outstanding. And I want these details in the result form. I click OK. Now all this 3,000 plus loans, I'm going to get in a few seconds the complete analysis. This is like a pivot table dynamically done with a little more features because it's already have the count and the sum. Now if you see here, based on these details, already have the, now double click, I can get the result of this, the details of this. Okay, so not only that, I can also do dynamic analysis. I want to know based on the count who has got the maximum number of loans and who has got the minimum. Now you see gold loan agriculture is the one which has given the maximum 272 times within the year, and you also get the quantum of the loans, limit, and the amount which has been sanctioned. Now, if I want to know, let's say, based on the limit, now here I get to know these loans have been granted only once during the year. Now here, if you see, I also see based on the amount outstanding, I can also sort it based on the amount of outstanding. What are the total number of loans? Okay, this is how you can actually group the loans by classifying as per the particular category. Now let's say I would like to know, are there any duplicates? We already know there are duplicates here. I would like to know whether duplicates in the name. Okay, so I can just go to identify and say duplicates. Identify duplicates. I'll be able to find out in the customer name are there duplicates. I can get a result based on the details of summary. I want the summary. Okay, if I say okay, now this should be able to tell me for each of the customers how many number of times the loan has been given. Now if you see here, now I want to sort this. So you find here the maximum number of times the loan has been given is 5 times, and this is the loan which has been given to this party. Now I would like to pick up all the parties whose loan has been given more than once. So I say greater than 1, I'll be able to pick up this particular number. So in this case, all these parties have got more than 1 loan. Let's say I pick up 2, I see there are 14 parties who have been given more than 2 loans. Okay, this is how I can do the analysis based on the loans which have been granted. Now let's say this particular amount, what I've got now, I'd like to summarize. Okay, which means based on the outstanding, I would like to summarize what is the amount of loans which has been granted based on the value of the loan. I can use the function called summarize. I come to summarize quick. This is similar to the pivot table, but this is on a numeric field. So I want to summarize based on the outstanding, and I want to accumulate the outstanding. This is simple. I can also group it based on, let's say, the facility, etc. I'm not doing right now. So if I just do this, you'll see what happened. For each unique value of loan, I'll be able to know the amount of loan, the quantity and the amount. For example, if you see here, in this case, I got the amount outstanding. Okay, this count is 1. It looks like probably we have a total here. That could be the reason. Yeah, it gives me the complete list of the loans which have been granted as per each unique type of loan. Okay, so I want to sort this based on the count of outstanding. So each loan has been granted only once, each value has been granted. No, this I think we got here. This particular 4,994, 4 customers have the same balance. Okay, this is how I can do this, summarize. Let me just see if there is any total here. No, we don't have any total here. Okay, right. Now let's go ahead. Now what I'd like to do now is I'd like to group this loan as per the heading, which is agricultural term loan, which means I want to know the amount as per each category. So what I could do is I can go to data. I can say classify. Classify based on the heading. Okay, and I want the total of the, let's say only the outstanding. Okay, this will give me for each type of a loan. Now there are 14 types of loan categories which have been given. I will be able to get an idea about what is the amount of loan which has been granted as per each category. With the breakup details I'll get. Okay, now these functions you might be knowing. Now let's go to sample data and then perform some more functions which could be new. I'm going to use the test data. Okay, so you have a lot of data. Let me close this file which I've used. So this I gave you only a few examples. Like that we can perform various types of examples, various types of tests. Now I'm going to use, let's say, aging 2 fields. Now here I got this data, which is the sales data, and I got the receipt data. I would like to stratify and get to know based on the payment by the parties, what are the payment pattern? Who has been a prompt payer? How many number of parties have been paying within how many days? So I go to eCat Enterprise. I have a function in Stratify called as Stratify Aging. So here I got the receipt date, and then receipt date should be deducted by the sales date. Okay, dynamically it computes that the minimum interval is 25 days, the maximum interval, which means the party who was delayed the maximum, is 199 days. Okay, and it says increment of 17. Let's say I'm going to take it as the increment of 20. I say fill. I got the stratification data. Then you see the magic. Once you click OK, for all these loan amounts, for all the Sunday data which have been received during the year, you'll be able to give me a pattern within how many days, how many parties have paid, and what is the percentage. Now, if you see here in this case, between 25 to 44 days, maximum number 3,094, and 46% of people have paid within this date. 45 to 64, about 51% have paid, which means maximum, if you see, within 97 days, with 97% have paid within 64 days. Let's say the credit period of the company is 30 days, and now you find these patterns, you find that probably there's a little concern that more than 50% of the people are paying beyond 45 days. So you can do further analysis if required. Let's say I want to do a further analysis based on this. So I'm not happy with this 25 and 30. I would like to go and perform the further analysis. I go to Stratify, Aging. So this is what I said is the beauty of data analytics. You can perform dynamic data analysis depending on your need. So I got the receipt date. I got the sale date. Okay, now it has given me that there is an increment of 25 to this one. So here, let's say I am going to give this as increment of 10 days. Okay, now fill the data. Or I can also give a free interval, which means I know total is 30 days. I can give a free interval, which means I can say I want between 25 to 30 days. This is a credit period, 30 days. How many people have paid within 30 days? 31 to, let's say, 45 days. Let's say 46 to 60, 61 to 90. And I got, let's say, 91 to 120. Okay. 120 to 180. So I'm just doing analysis based on the payment pattern. I want to get an idea how these parties have paid and who has paid within this credit period of 30 days. Now see, in a few seconds, I'll be able to get the information. Now this gives you very valuable insight. For example, if you see, there is a 20%, which is more than 180 days. There are 20 parties who are there who are paying after 180 days, which means this definitely is a concern. You have to verify and check why there's such a delay in the parties. Now, between 25 to 30 days, you see 46% of the parties are paying. Okay, between 31 to 45, there are about 0.32%. Between 46 to 60, we have got a maximum number, 51% are paying within the particular date. So you find that the company's policy is 30 days, but whereas most of the parties are paying within 40 to 46 to 60 days. And you also got some defaulters who are going beyond this particular period. Now, this is how you can dynamically do the stratification based on the data available. So if you got the data available, you can do various types of analysis. Now, let me come and show you some interesting features. Now, I've got this account transaction. Now here, what I'd like to do, I do something called as a fuzzy match. Now here, fuzzy match, let's see, I'll explain this and then you'll be able to understand. I use fuzzy match arrange. Now I'm going to use this transaction description as a field, and I want a space between the words. Now what it will do is, now if you see a transaction description, the same type of transaction have been described in different ways. You'll be able to rearrange this data in whatever way you want. Okay, I'm just giving you the idea. You can go, not only that, you can also find duplicates based on this. Okay, now if you see here and I say, okay. Now this will be able to rearrange for all these particular fields which are available. You'll be able to rearrange, tell me which are the cases where there are duplicates, which means the same transaction has been described in different ways. Now, can I do it for the names? You can also do it for the names. Somebody, let's say I give the first name the first time, and the second time I give the first name as the second name, like that, there is a change, and sometimes I give the initial. All these things I can find out using this particular fuzzy match arrange. Now, this function will take a little time because it is going to perform the function result cell by cell. Now, if you see here in this case, now all this narration, you had this purchase of HDD, which was the original one. This has been rearranged as purchase of HDD. Again, purchase HDD of. Now this has been rearranged as purchase of HDD. Now here, check number 93 towards printers. Now they have written multiple ways. All these you are able to rearrange, and you will find that these are all the duplicates which are there. Now this is how you can use the fuzzy match. So it means you can, whatever the characters which is given, you'll be able to rearrange the data, and based on that you can get the pattern. Now, let's say in this case, I got the transaction number. I want to find out in this particular transaction number, are there duplicates? So in this case, I got a simple function. Earlier, if I want to identify duplicates for this, now first I have to split this into character and numeric, and on the character, I can perform the duplicate. Whereas in ECAT, you can perform this directly. So what I do is I identify. I can also find out the format. Okay, for example, let me show you the format here. I'll say identify format. I want to see whether the number is following a different format. I say for the transaction number, I want to identify the format and show me the field length. This identity format is also a very useful function, which you can use it, let's say, for identifying and confirming whether format is correct. So you see here, in this case, it tells me what is the format of this particular number. Not only that, you'll be able to identify, for example, 0, which means I immediately know that these are the cases. There are 2 cases where the transaction number is missing. Now, I was telling you about character gaps. Let me come to the character gaps. I'll show you. Now, let's remove the filter. I come to ECAT, identify gaps, and this is character gaps. Now here, what is that I want to do? I want to find out gaps in the transaction number. Okay, and I have to just say okay. Now see the magic here. It actually automatically removes everything, and based on this, you find between 12 to 12. Now, if you see here, between 11. Now, if you see here, 11 is a duplicate, which means 12 is missing. Okay, again, you see 24 is missing here. Again, 41 is missing. So you are able to identify what will be the number of type of character and alphanumeric character you got. You'll be able to identify the duplicates based on this. Now, let me show you some interesting functions which are pertaining to analysis, which is what I said is the powerful analytics. I'm going to use a file called procurement. This is the procurement data. Okay, now I'll do the trend line, which is a very interesting feature which you won't find even in Power BI or in higher end versions of data analytics software. This is a unique to our software. I'll show you, then you'll get an idea about what is that which is possible and what are the type of analysis we can perform using this. I'm going to use a function called trend line here. Trend line stratify for numeric. Now here, I'm going to do based on the amount. Now it tells me the amount is between -312 and 95,000. I say okay. And I want to group by based on, let's say, the vendor code, which means I want to find out the trend for this particular data. So now you see the interesting feature of this particular software. What we to be able to do for each of the vendors, I'll be able to know what is the type of result we got. Now, if you see here, for this vendor C333, we have got three types of stratification. We have got between 312 to 928, 9,219 to 18,479, and this is the amount. Like that, I'll be able to get for each of the vendors, I'll be able to see the trend. Okay, based on the stratification. Now let's leave the stratification. Let's perform the stratification directly. Let's perform the trend line directly. Let's say I come to trend line and I go to classifier. Let's say classification. Okay, we have got different types. Let me just stick to this one. Let's say I'm going to do it based on the character date. Yeah, this will be interesting. Now here I'm going to do based on the, let's say, months. Okay, I'm doing month-wise analysis here. Okay, based on the date, I'm going to fill the intervals. Okay, and which means this will give me only the trend as per the month-wise purchases which are made. Okay, then later on we'll do grouping further. Now you see, for each of the months, the purchase which have been made in terms of value, I'm able to see the trend. Okay, which is what we've added the spark line for each of these particular values. Okay, now here if you see, in this particular period, we have made between 13,124. Now if you see, it tells me that the highest is 78,750. Now if you see what has happened in this case is, it actually groups this data based on this and actually puts it in this particular format, horizontal format, and dynamically compute the spark line. Okay, now let's do the same thing based on the vendor because that could be interesting. I'm going to perform the same thing now, procurement. This is where I said you can get very interesting insights when you perform this type of analysis. I'm going to this one based on, let's say I'm going to perform classifier based on the, let's say, quadrant. Now here I'm going to select the party, which is the, let's say, I'm going to pick up the vendor name. Okay, primary field, I'm going to pick up the quantity. Okay, and then here I'm going to pick up second, I'm going to pick up the unit price. Okay, now if you see here, what will happen? Now, if you see for each of the parties, I've got this particular trend-wise analysis. For each of the vendor name, I know what is the rate at which I bought this particular item, what is the purchase I made for each of the parties. Okay, I'm able to see the trend, which means from this particular party, okay, I've got this data, which is ranging from 10 rupees to 120. Now, let's say instead of this, I would like to do it based on the product price because that would be more interesting. So I'm going to do the same analysis based on the product price. So let's say I come back to trend line. I come to stratify, let's say based on the character. So here I'm going to pick up the material name and field total is the amount. Okay. Okay, this I think may not be meaningful because we're going based on the name character. This may not be meaningful. Okay, let me come back here to trend line. Let's see analysis. Let's see the result. Classified. Let's look at the classified and see what I can get. Yes, this will be interesting. Yeah, this is what I'm looking for. What I would like to do is I would like to do based on the material code. Okay. And I would like to have based on the value. Okay. So it means I got based on the material code. I want to know what is the value. I want to see the pattern of these purchases. So if you see here, for each of the material, I'm able to see the volume of purchase which have been made. Okay. Now you'll be able to see here what are the minimal purchase, what are the maximum purchase, and I'll be able to see the value. Let's say I'm doing it for salary. I'll be able to see for each of the employees what is the salary which has been during the year, and whether it's in a particular pattern, whether they need discrepancy, I can immediately find out. Now it's the same thing I would like to do based on, see, trend line itself, you got so many functions. Let's say I go to results, and let's say I go based on the MVF. Now this is an interesting function. So here in MVF, I'm going to pick up the quantity, and the numeric field I'm going to pick up is the unit price. Okay. And I want to group it based on the material code or the material name. Okay, which means for each material code, material name, I want to know based on the quantity and the price, I want to see the variance. Now, this is a very interesting feature because you're able to know for each unique material based on the quantity and the price, what is that you have bought? At what rate did you buy for each of the items? Okay, this takes a little time because a lot of analysis required here. Let's see. First it computes and then after that it does the analysis. Now, if you see here, based on the quantity, I think I made a mistake here. I should have added the material code also. I got the quantity, I got the unit price. It looks like I don't have the, this is just giving based on the quantity. This may not be meaningful for me. I should have actually done it based on the material code, and based on that I should have got the result. Okay, let's go ahead. We'll perform it one more last time. Let's look at the trend line. Classify, this is what we have got, the quadrant, classification, analysis, results. Okay, 1 minute. Now this is what we performed last time. I think let me analysis. Okay, let's see here. Okay. Okay, so this requires 2 data fields. Okay, let's go ahead. So you can perform various types of trend analysis based on the data you got. I think you got a hang of how this particular function can be performed. Now let me give you some more interesting examples. For that, what I would like to do is, let me just show you one quick example before you go further. I want to show another 3 examples. Okay, in that sheet, now quite often you have this debit and credit columns. I got this particular data. For example, let's say if you get Tally, you got the data like this, debit and credit. Now you want to put this in 2 columns. Okay, now for this, we have got a separate function called debit and credit column. So it performs some analysis. Yes. Okay, let's go ahead. Now here I'm going to select the first column, which is the opening debit and credit. Okay, now here I should be able to say, what is that I want? I want minus as credit. Okay, and I can also say remove the minus sign. And let's see what will happen. Okay, in this case, I think what we did, we put it in a single column. Let's remove this and do it again. I got the debit and credit. My objective is that I want the debit in a single column, different column, and credit in a different column. So I think now I got this. Okay, here what should have done is I pick up the opening debit and credit. Okay. You got this particular column, remove sign, identify, here, this is what I should have selected. Identify debit and credit, number debit and credit. This is what I wanted. Now, if you see, I got this based on the debit, it has come in the debit column, and based on the credit, it's come in the credit column. Similarly, let's say I got this debit amount like this, okay, where I got the amount with minus. So this also based on the sign, I can segregate this and put in a different column. So same function, I'm going to use it differently. I got this templates. I go to debit and credit column. So here I'm going to use the second column, which is OBDRS negative, correct? Now I want minus as credit. Okay, I can say remove minus sign here because once it has been moved. Now this should give me, now if you see here, this second column what I got this into two separate columns. So this is a very simple but very effective function. Okay, now let's say we got to one more function, next function. I got this trial balance where I got this particular columns. I have got the closing balance of 2019. This is the opening balance of 2018. Okay, and then I got the trial balance of 2020 where I got the opening balance. Now my objective is, let's say I'm not interested in these two columns. So to avoid confusion, I delete these columns. Here I got the, which means I want to check the closing balance with the opening balance of and check if there are any differences. Okay, I got the closing balances and I got the opening balances here. Now I want to find the difference between the two. I start with 2019 as the base. Okay, this is where I got a simple function. Here we got analysis and we go to comparative. Where there are various types of comparison. I'm just going to show you one simple thing. Here I'm going to show by files. So in all these cases, wherever possible, we have given you the steps. Okay, we got this. We started with the base 2019, and I want to compare it 2020. So just give T, it automatically dynamically pick up what is starting with T. I've got this. What are the column based on which I want to compare? I want to compare based on the name. Okay, and what is that I want to compare here with? I have this closing debit. Okay, closing credit, and I got this opening credit and opening this one. Now I also want to find out the difference. So in this case, I say difference between the closing debit and the opening debit. I say difference, and I got the closing debit and the opening debit, and I want the difference. And now I also have various types of result options. I'm not getting into this one. Okay, I can also do various types of result options based on this. I say, okay, this will dynamically compute these two differences and two trial balances and tell me exactly which are the cases which are where there are differences. Now here, if you see, in this it tells me for each of the accounts from both these TBs, it's consolidated. And it tells me where is the difference. For example, here I want to find out where not equal to 1, not equal to 0. Now these are the accounts where there are differences. Okay, now some cases the blanks also have come. See here, if you see 8,260 is available in this particular one trial balance, it's not there in the other. So I'm able to pick up dynamically from each of them which are the cases where there are differences. If I remove this, now let's say I come here and I say which are the cases I've got 0. Now this tells me which are the cases where I got 0, which means in the secondary it is not there, in the primary it is there. Okay, so similarly, if I give 0 here, this will tell me which are the accounts which are available in, which are not available in the primary but available in the secondary. So this is how I can do the comparison of the trial balance and also compute the difference between the two. Okay, I want to show you one last function. So let me just come here. I'm going to pick up the second sample data for this. Okay, so the second sample data, we also kept it here. Test data 2. Okay, now what I would like to do is I got this expense April, I got this May, okay, and I've got June. Okay. Now this could be this pertaining to expenses. This could be pertaining to payroll also. What I'd like to do is I'd like to append and also consolidate this data. Okay. There is a simple function in ECAT for this. You go to ECAT Enterprise. I say relate, append files, and I say match columns. You can do it for match columns. Dynamically it will verify in that workbook what are the columns, what are the worksheets which are matching. So you find in this case it started with base as April, May, and June it took. Okay, I got this. I also want to do the consolidation. Append means when I just say append, it will create the append worksheet. Now I also want to consolidate. I say consolidate. Now what is that I want to consolidate on? I want to consolidate based on the head, the column head. And what is that I want the total? I want the total of the summarize, which is the expenditure. Okay, I say okay. And I have to say okay here. Now you see what will happen. It has appended this worksheet. April, I got May, I got June. Okay, so it's pay. Let's say I got payroll for 12 months or sales for 12 months, everything I can put together. Not only that, it is also created a consolidated sheet. Okay, consolidated sheet, which means for each of the head of account, it has computed the count and the sum. Okay, this is how I can do the append and consolidate. Okay, all these functions, what are performed? Let me just give an idea. We have something called a rerun. When I say rerun, what will happen? It will give me a list of all the functions which have been performed and all this available. And I can select this function and say rerun. It will rerun the function again with the same parameters. Okay, we also got something called parameters. Now, this what I said is auto documentation. It also tells me for each of this, what are the parameters which are given. This becomes a part of your audit documentation. Not only that, you can also see the usage statistics, which function has been used, how many times. Now, if you look at auto run, now let's say rerun instead of one, you want to do multiple things. You want to save this. Okay, you can select this multiple rerun. Okay, in the existing workbook. So what it will do is multiple rerun. I can go and select these particular functions, and I can also save this as a template, which means let's say I'm performing this 10 types of functions. I want to repeat that. I can also perform this. Reperform this particular functions. So here I think I didn't select this at all. Multiple. I think I made a mistake. I said multiple rerun. So by default, I think it will be running for all the functions. Let's see. Now I canceled it. Yes. So this is how you can do a rerun. Now there is something called an audit log. When you go to the audit log, like I told you, you got the activities log. All the functions which have been performed will be available as a log for you. You can also view the file. You can view this particular thing. All the data you can just say view in Excel, which means this will be copied and stored in Excel. This becomes a part of your audit documentation. So you can know all the analytics functions which have been performed. You can store this. Okay, there's a problem here. That's why I think it closed. Okay, this is a quick synopsis of what I wanted to share with you. In this, I said I want to. This is already copied. Yeah, this gives you the summary. There is some issue because of which Excel closed and started. Yeah, so we got this particular result. Okay, so what I would like to do is, I think with this we can conclude. If you got any questions, I can take that. I'll stop sharing the screen. I also have plans to do regular webinars where I want to cover not only webinars, I want to cover functions maybe in small videos. I plan to do that from next month. Each of these functions I'm planning to come out with short videos and also bring out some case studies. Any questions? Okay, so thank you very much. I hope to see you in the near future. Tomorrow we have a presentation on Softcat, where I'm going to cover the case studies of how you can use Softcat. And if you know the difference between ECAT and Softcat, ECAT is an add-in to Excel, whereas Softcat is an independent data analytics software where we import the data and perform the data analytics. I intend to perform about 20 to 25 functions of how you can use Softcat. Day after tomorrow, that is 16th, we have a presentation, a webinar on E2TallySoft. If you're providing accounting services and you would like to know how to import the data from Excel templates to Tally, and that is the webinar I think you would not like to miss. And the 17th, we have very interesting webinar on TCAT. We have added a lot of interesting updates in TCAT, like monthly summaries and various types of ledger summaries. So this will be covered on 17th between 4 to 5 p.m. So I'd like to cover the latest updates in the software and also cover some of the key functions in TCAD. So thank you very much for attending this webinar. I hope this was useful to you and look forward to seeing you in the near future. Namaste.